flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments from the assembly? Anyone? Comments from the assembly? Nothing?
Yeah, I signed up.
I would like to be able to speak tonight.
Let me get the paper.
Yeah. The whole one of them should be needed. The one of them there, the bottom one.
Okay, Alan.
Alan Steyer, 1319 Chestnut Hill Road, Morgantown, PA. I'd like to address the board. We recommended that you hire a consultant after a year of looking at this Berks Homes project and voting against it as far as a majority because of something that man said. Well, he said a lot of things that is negative for the community, the residential development, but the thing that really, caused us to vote against it was the estimate by him that was for every home that has school-age children in that development, it will cost the township residents $15,000. If you have 100 homes like that, that's like $1.5 million. I mean, we currently have a surplus because of the casino, but with that one wrong decision, we could wipe that right out. In one year, wiped out, and we're gonna be back to having to raise taxes to balance the budget again. That's all I have to say. Oh, one other thing. The quote for $8,000 was for him to work with planning and the board supervisor for months to figure out what would work best in there. He has connections with a lot of business leaders, and he wanted to talk to them and bring them before the board and discuss what stores might want to build there or any other type of uses that would be looking to move into this community and work out well in the community, providing additional tax base and services for the community. But he never got the chance.
Terry?
Good evening. Terry Robinson. After the last meeting, I was astounded at the lack of attention to detail, especially displayed by the three supervisors that kicked the Berks proposal down the road. I would call it both arrogant and smug. Of course, if you have the numbers 3-2, then you can sit there arrogant and smug. Jeff called for at least 10, maybe 15 things that should be cleared up. Now, he sits on the Board of Planning Commission as well. And he claimed that the answers that they asked the Berks and Fiorino were not cleared up. And that's why they turned it down. Sandy pointed out multiple areas where the definition is needed. Empty seats in the school district. Believe me, last fall we were given that there are 700 seats in the school district open. 2 weeks ago it was 1,200. Now, who's telling the stories? And Sandy asked him about developing proposals and how it would impact the empty seats in the school district. The developer said he didn't know. Guess what? 2 of the developments that Sandy asked about are Berks developments. He doesn't know about that? Come on, give me a break. Sean Kirby, head of Planning Commission, said they were struggling with getting clear answers from Berks for a whole year. That's why there was a delay. The more they shed light on the proposal, they couldn't get answers that they needed. Allen explained that mixed use was never about the residential development, but an overlay. It was not meant to be about residential, it was about the mixed use of the commercial property. And there, Berks is throwing out a 7-acre piece of candy saying this is mixed use. Well, I'll tell you, that 7 acres is gonna become very close to 4 or 5 when the turnpike takes their cut out of that corner of the property. So, 4 acres? So 4 respected township leaders were told, Burke's answers, they're sufficient. There's no school issues. Your incompetence has forced us to take this up here to the Board of Supervisors. This is a wonderful addition to our town. You know, the only reason I heard that made any sense from the 3 supervisors in question was that Mr. Byler has the right to sell his land. You know what? All of us agree with that. Every one of us in here agrees that Mr. Byler has the right to sell his land. But what if he was asking for a trash to steam plant? Oh, well, that might not work. Or what if he sold it to a strip club? That might not work either. But houses, that's another thing. We don't have to ask questions about houses. 16 feet apart, can't even get a clarity on how far they're set back from the road. But the issue is not over Mr. Byler selling the property, it's over the use of the property. So your ordinance doesn't speak to density and on and on and on. So in spite of the many warning signs, you 3 have the inside story that makes the ideal project for Morgantown. That's where the arrogance and smugness comes from. You can sit there because there's 3 of you against 2 and sit there and think, you can throw anything at me, but guess what? We're in power.
Okay, and gentleman up front here, yes.
Yes, are you gonna be discussing the work that was supposed to start today in Mountaineer Village? Is that on the agenda?
What address?
That would be, Rock Ridge.
It's on the agenda.
I can wait till
Yeah,
then.
you
Thank
can
you.
wait till then, yes.
Can I say something? I didn't get here in time to sign in, but you know, the Bylers lived here for many years, and I don't understand why they're not concerned about the township that they're going to be leaving. I don't understand, you know, it's all about, it seems like it's just all about the money to them, because they were made another offer and they had turned it down. Just wanted to say that.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so Eric, are you ready then for the hearing?
I am ready, yes.
Okay, so we have a hearing on the IOP amendment for the maximum height and airport use.
Okay, this is, would amend the IOP district-wide on 2 specific issues. One, the maximum height permitted would reduce it from 75 feet to 45 feet for the buildings. And then second, it would remove the permitted use of an air park planned residential, because there's no standards to that. And so it's rather ambiguous in your ordinance. And so the board, a couple of months ago, adopted a resolution declaring that use to be ambiguous, giving you then 6 months to correct it. You're correcting it through this amendment, which would strike it. So it would simply not be there any longer. There would still be an air park permitted, air park that is, different from an airport. That would still be permitted, but this air park per planned residential would be stricken. So it's limited to those 2 things. You've gone through all of the required reviews and advertisements. Specifically, the hearing was advertised in the Red and Eagle on February 22nd and March 1st. That should be noted in the minutes. The amendment was sent to the Township Planning Commission and the County Planning Commission on January the 4th, 2022. So they've had more than 30 days to review it. They both have reviewed it. I don't believe the county had any comments one way or the other in the review letter. And I believe the Planning Commission recommended the amendment. So with that, well, I guess the last legal procedure would be that the ordinance has been available for public inspection in all the required places, both here at the township, at the Reading Eagle, at the county law library. So it's ready for actions.
Okay, should we ask for any comments? Anyone have any comments on that? Any comments?
Make a motion to accept the ordinance.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing closed. Okay, you have your correspondence in front of you. Any questions on that? Minutes of previous meetings, February 8th.
I make a motion to accept February 8th.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? February 15th meeting.
I make a motion to accept February 15th meeting. Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. February 22nd.
Make a motion to accept February 22nd minutes. Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
You have your treasurer's report?
Diana's on Zoom.
Anyone have any questions for Diana? I like this format the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Jim, do we need to check with her regarding credit card usage for the carnival? Did we run anything by her?
We talked about, carnival that's coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and, as far as the credit card machine goes,
Yes,
is that what you're talking about?
yes.
Well, we have internet over at the carnival now, so, it might be possible if the board's willing to buy the machine.
I think the easiest one to use would be the Square where they can just plug it in their phone. It'd be assigned to the township and they can collect the money for it. It would go directly into the account then.
So, Diana, are you there?
I am, I'm just struggling to hear, that's all. I can hear you well, but nobody else.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep,
Okay, so is there any issue with us getting a credit card machine for the carnival to use?
and that would be to get, like, admission? Is that what you are
Yes.
thinking about?
Yes.
Or why do you want a credit card?
Well, because they pre-sell bands, and what else is sold?
It's always the ride tickets,
And the ride tickets.
it's the ride bands, bands.
Okay,
So instead of them collecting cash, if they could use the credit card machine, then it would go directly into the account and they have less money to have to be dropping off here.
right. Well, don't forget, you're gonna have the credit card fee, so that's something to take into consideration is, how much, now does the township already have the ability to take credit cards?
No, so I was thinking,
No.
if they use Square, that's pretty much a strict 2.66% plus 10 cents per use. It's pretty
It's
simple figure.
2.6?
It was last time I used it.
Okay. Intuit has a merchant program also, and as you all know that I'm a reseller for that, so I actually set up clients with merchant services through Intuit as well. My understanding is that they beat Square, but our fees are 2.9. So I don't know if that's changed, but I know that we have in the past always beat the price of Square. I can check on that for you. We
Okay,
can, Joan and I can check into it and see what Square would be versus Intuit, you know, because obviously we would want to take the better one. I'm not pushing into it by any means.
okay, and we want the convenience for them to be able to maybe even plug into the phone if they have those adapters, so they can just plug it in their phone and take it.
Right, Intuit has, they have the adapters, and they also send you, you get like a little, iPad thing, an iPad also, when you sign up for their merchant services.
Okay, so if you can check into that,
I'll get some prices for you for the next meeting.
okay, thanks.
Why are we in the hole, 116,000? What did,
That's a transfer that we have to do. So before, we didn't approve the transfers, they just got transferred by the accountant before. So now we're showing it where each month we transfer for payroll. It doesn't sit in the checking account, we have to transfer it over to this account.
okay,
So
so
now it
that's where
shows
we
up
are
because
right
they're
now.
not automatically doing it.
Okay.
Is that,
Yeah,
now, this amount for 116, what is that?
Diana, you could probably elaborate on that a little bit. Does that include the money that was borrowed from the accrual account when we didn't have revenue coming in, that negative balance?
Yes, it does. Yes.
So we have to wait for probably when the casino revenue comes in, and it'll be caught up.
Okay.
So how
we're
much
paying back
is
to
what?
account.
How much is the
We're
transfer
already
to payroll?
seeing, we haven't received any tax bills yet for real estate taxes. So obviously we would anticipate some pretty significant money coming in for that very shortly. So that's something that we should be getting definitely within the next couple of weeks. We also have, just today I checked the bank account right before the meeting, and we have a $16,500 deposit from earned income tax. That's coming in regularly. We're getting quite a significant amount from the earned income right now. So, and then like Joan said, we anticipate the casino money, the first quarter to be coming in. I checked to see when the fourth quarter came in for the first time we got a payment, and it came in on February 2nd. So that was your fourth quarter for 2021. So I would anticipate, again, probably the March 31st era period, or around April 1st or April 2nd is to have the casino money coming in.
January and February are always the toughest months. In the past, we've taken a tax anticipation loan, but the board approved just pulling it from, various accounts, and then we'll pay it back.
Did anyone have any questions on the report?
And really, that money that's in the accrual account is basically a savings account, per se. It's the board making good decisions to put that money over into that account, so you can have reserved money. They can have budgeted money for, certain things that they need.
Okay, motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And transfer March payroll and bills to be paid. Motion to transfer those funds.
I make the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Expense list.
Check with Diana. Diana, did you say then that there will be money needed to go into the general fund? I think you did say that, when we were waiting for the board to approve the bills tonight, and then once we got that approval tomorrow, the transfer can take place, is that right?
That is correct, and actually though, since we've gotten the deposit today, the amount that we need to transfer is 62, 67, 66, so, to make it a round number, I'll transfer over $10,000 if that's approved. And that's from the savings account, and it's not from the accrual. I'm just gonna move that money over from the savings account.
So
Someone make a motion to
I'll
transfer
make
the
the
10.
motion to transfer.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Diana.
Sure, thank you.
Any questions on the expense list? Motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, business. Fire alarm system monitoring services. Current vendor's retirement notice. New vendor agreement for review and approval. We went over this last time, correct?
Yeah, the new item though is that the current vendor let us know that he's retiring, so it's July of this year. He's got a vendor to recommend, but, I mean, the board was already,
We were already
Working on it.
checked it.
so I think Eric's waiting to hear back from them.
Okay, so we're waiting on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Rescue funds, premium pay update. So they had a meeting today, they approved it.
For the
So-
supervisor and 40, yes.
Okay, so do we need anything else, a motion or anything? We already approved it, so when will the checks go out?
I would say.
They'll be on the
board
next
want it
bill.
To be next pay.
I would say the next bill list that we do?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Donation considerations, EMS request, did we get the letters or all the documents we need to officially come up with a figure? Or are we still waiting? Or actually, Jeff and Foley had a meeting with them, so I guess we should hold off.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
we'll
hear
hold
it.
off on that. Did you have anything to add, Joe?
No, that's
Okay.
fine, yeah, that's good.
2022 street work proposal.
So, there's not really anything to discuss in detail here, other than, I know Keith and I had reviewed past estimates, streets that we're looking at probably having on the list this year. We roughly know where we land on budget, plus what we expect for the Sunoco funds to come in. I think if that's, and just to confirm, that check has not arrived. And, I think it's best to try to use that when we get it. But I would like to, in the next week here, provide a estimate. I wanted to bring it with tonight, but send it to the supervisors to look at and, really look at trying to get something out on the streets for bid sooner than later, just because of the prices seem to be okay right now, but I think that's gonna change quickly and steeply, very soon.
Blacktop takes oil.
I mean, they say it's not directly related, but once you get in the next couple of months with the schedules filling up, and who knows where things go, it's, yeah, I think we ought to try to push for that sooner than later to get it bid and out there.
Okay. Anything else? Personnel manual updates. Township secretary, job description for approval.
With Eric's help, got basically an updated job description for my position. And then with that, I updated the assistant. And so it's basically the physical requirements that we need to update. So, once the board approves, we can put it in the personnel manual. And at the same time, I mean, all I did at this point for advertising was I put it on the website.
Okay.
But I think that we might have to go out further, and so I don't know if the board's willing to approve a certain amount for me to spend on advertising. I can get quotes from like Indeed, that's a popular site.
Okay. Did you guys review,
I've reviewed it, yes.
and any issues, any questions? I don't have any issues with it.
I don't either.
Okay, so do we wanna approve the job descriptions?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
motion is second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that's for one, the administrative, then the assistant, same thing, someone will approve that? Second it,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Land development plans. XTO extension letter received March 3rd, 2022. Do we need any information on that?
Basically, the letter is offering an extension up to September 30th, 2022. I think typically the board acknowledges the receipt of the town extension, correct?
Yeah, you don't need to approve it, but you should acknowledge it just for record.
Okay, we acknowledge it. Morgantown affiliates land development plan update. Anything?
That's the, on the corner, correct? I always get that mixed up, isn't that right? The home shop there.
Probably shut the door.
The contractor did reach out, supposedly, they're expecting to proceed with the PennDOT improvements that they were supposed to, I believe, complete around 2020, 2021. So they're looking around that to do that. As far as the land development plan, it didn't seem very promising on progress on that, but I think that would speak more to where Eric was, or where Terry was going with the letters to him on that. So I think the PennDOT work is supposed to proceed, but the request to pave the parking lot, do the stormwater improvements and the land development plan still seems to be getting, the answer of we're getting to it.
And what about the signs? Were there signs involved there?
That was part of the
That's
PennDOT
part
work.
of it, Okay.
They had renewed the PennDOT permit from what we were told, and this is, I think, yesterday, when we got the calls on this, Terry and I both. So it's just recent, saying 2 weeks, so I would assume if there's no progress by the next month, it's some more of the same, pushing it down the road.
Wexford Court.
I had issued the letter to him, I think it was February 18th, for the, increase of the escrow, that the townships allowed to do there. I think it has a 30 days for an appeal. If we don't receive anything, then I think we issue the next letter for that. I don't think there's been any response. I know I've gotten no, follow-up as far as the contractor work that's supposed to be done and the inspections on the wall. So
Okay.
I think that's gonna move forward.
Apartments on Main.
I have nothing on that one.
Proposed Popeyes and Wendy's.
There's a plan received for the parcel there opposite of, Taco Bell on Heritage Drive that, that's what's proposed. It's under review, letter to be out probably tomorrow. The planning commission sees that for the first time next week.
91 Rock Ridge easement construction.
So that's what some of the residents are here about. That was a swale that was gonna be constructed out there along the cul-de-sac. The contractor was supposed to get in there and start the work today, but, they were met with some opposition from the residents who are here to speak for that today.
Okay. So, did you want to speak now, sir?
Yeah, I do. Excuse me if I don't stand. I'm still under a surgeon's back surgery. I'll try to be pretty quick with this. Yeah, I had to go away for 3 months after a number of procedures. I returned to my home a week ago. And as I'm driving out the driveway the other day, I see that there's markings for work to be done. Work that I know nothing about, nothing that I was included in, nothing that I was asked about. You owe me 3 phone calls, 2 from last year and 1 from Friday. Okay, I will get the phone records out and share them with you at a future point if you would like me to confirm that. Let me tell you my experience real quick. 12 years ago, I sat in a township meeting and I said, I live at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. I live off the cul-de-sac on Rock Ridge. It's a very steep grade coming there. I sit right at the bottom and my driveway sits right at the very bottom of the cul-de-sac with this lady's house on one side of me and another gentleman on the other side. So I came in here and I said, I got runoff, I got erosion, I've got a lot of problems here. And the township sent the engineer with me, the planner came out, and we talked, and everything seemed really good, and he pointed out some things that needed to be done. My catchment pond I have a catchment pond already on my property. And he said, that needs to be upgraded, that needs to be fixed, and we need to do something about over here. And he said, I'm going to send you some plans. I said, okay, send me the plans. This came after a couple days after the township meeting. So anyhow, I got those plans 30 days later hanging on my mailbox as I was coming to the township meeting. 30 days later. Not mailed to me, not given to me, hanging on my mailbox where I could see them coming to this meeting. What's that about? What's that about? Okay. I had multiple phone calls that were also not returned by the planner at that time. That put me in an adversarial position with the township. I had nothing to assume other than I'm being purposely ignored. Okay. I didn't act at the time because of medical conditions, and I did not have the financial resources to carry it outside of this room, the room that it was in. So I did nothing. I saw markings last fall and activity occurring out there, and my neighbor had complained about drainage off her property. I have no problem with her complaining about that. She sits higher than I do and around there, and she was suffering some erosion. The runoff onto my property is probably a multiple of 10 to 20 times the issue which you're addressing at 91. I don't have any problem with that. If you've got a problem and you're solving it, that's great.
That's actually not the conversation
Well, let me speak.
at all.
After I'm done, you can speak.
Make sure you understand.
Okay. What did I say wrong?
I wasn't complaining to the township about the water.
When you went to the township in order to get that correct.
We had a whole different issue.
Okay, so we'll
But-
adjust yours.
Okay,
then.
anyhow, I thought that was your issue. If I'm wrong, you'll explain where I'm wrong.
No, I just wanna,
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so anyhow, I saw work being done there when it hadn't been done on my property. So last fall, I came in here and I said, look, here's what happened, and I'm just repeating the things that I repeated last fall. I asked for collaboration, I asked for involvement, I asked for input. I said I didn't want to be adversarial. We sent this gentleman, he came out, we had a nice conversation, we walked around, he knows what the situation is. And again, he did not return my phone calls, sir. I will show you the records of that.
Just to be clear, we did meet and I was working towards trying to help you out there in the situation. We were still in a research the situation, because there is a lot of plans for the development, and there was, just a second, and we were looking into that. I stopped working for that company a year and a half ago, so to call you back when I don't work for the company,
But you work for the township.
I sever that connection, and I didn't work for the township either.
No, he just started working with the township.
Okay.
I haven't worked with them for a year and a half, and I just started in
Was it you
January.
last fall that came out to my property?
Sorry?
Last fall would not have been.
No, it was,
Okay, I owe you an apology, but
it was a year and a half ago. And to
you
be,
started here a year and a half ago.
No.
a year and a half ago is when
He's been
I
gone.
stopped with a company that was working for
The
the
other guy
township.
looks like him, a
Let
little
me tell
bit.
you.
I know it,
Well, let me explain.
I live
If
there,
could-
I live in Trappers Run, I'm
So,
right
yeah,
down the
so
street.
basically,
Please, so
So
you
you're-
were not the person that came out to my property last fall?
no.
Okay,
No,
my
I was not out
apologies.
there last.
My
Oh, no,
apologies.
if you mean when we walked and you discussed the property and the drainage issues,
Yeah.
yes, but that was probably about 2 years ago.
Okay, we'll make it 2 years ago, but whatever was happening in your life, you didn't return phone calls to me. I didn't have the resources
I mean,
to
we
do anything. Let me finish.
Exchanged quite a few phone
Look,
calls.
can I finish?
I-
I'm not wrong, though. You did not return my phone calls.
Okay,
That was the same thing I had experienced 12 years previously. I mean, I've got plans
What-
here
what's your name?
from 2009.
what is your name?
Brian Metz, M-E-T-Z. Okay, I'll try to move on off of this. I've been corrected, and that's good, I guess. It was 2 years ago, not a year ago, that my phone calls weren't returned. So I've had no involvement in what is happening on my property. There are lines there. I see that there's a temporary culvert being put on my property. What does that do? All the water now is going to be put off on my property. There's not a person in this room that would tolerate the amount of water, the amount of erosion. This gentleman saw major erosion. The whole cul-de-sac is wiping out. All the asphalt is washing off. I have cuts in my property that are taking the cul-de-sac and taking it down the hill. I have 70-foot trees where the water is running and eroding all the way around this 70-foot tree. I mean, there might have been an issue at 91. I'm telling you, it pales into what I experienced. It looks like a river coming down. The problem is exasperated by the neighbors who all got driveways in the last 5 years, I think. And all the water now is funneled down their driveways where it used to run off gravel off to the side. So the problem is even worse than it was again. So work was begun without notice, giving me any notice, not a letter, not a phone call, nothing. You're coming on, marking my property to put a culvert, to run water off of a long, steep hill down onto my property when it's a problem I've been complaining about for 12 years, and you don't address it, you don't speak to me, you don't collaborate with me. My only thought is you don't want to do what needs to be done there. I mean, there's maybe other conclusions I should come to. That one seems now, after this experience occurring twice, very similar. Something I'll come back in the fall and talk to you about is the fact that I get 10 feet high walls of snow plowed from all over Mountaineer Village. They are using my property as a sewer. I have snow, it's a big snowfall. I got snow, I got pictures of my car, dwarfed by these walls of snow all the way around my property. It melts for weeks sometimes and then refreezes, and my driveway is like this, and it refreezes on my driveway. My driveway is eroding. I am suffering a lot of costs, and I'm incurring a lot of damage. Here's the irony of that for me. I have a second house now. Fortune has blessed me. And I now have resources. Over the last 13 years, I've paid over $50,000 in the 1% municipal tax, $50,000. And my phone calls don't get returned. Plans get hung on my mailbox after 30 days when I'm on my way to a township meeting, so I had no chance to go over them. This is what I want. I want a copy of the original plans. I have a partial copy now. I need the full copy. And I need it soon. I don't want to wait 30 days and finding it on my mailbox. I want the work to stop at 91 immediately. If I have to, I'll get a stop order. If I have to, I'll sit out there on a beach chair. But it will stop until I'm included. I want a copy of the temporary plan. I assume if there's a temporary plan, there's something in writing that I can review. If not, this gentleman needs to speak with me. I want a copy of the long-term planning for there. Short-term plans have a tendency, and projects that are done temporarily have a tendency to remain temporary and never get completed. That's my fear. I think it's warranted on my experience. I want the larger problem at 91 now to be addressed. I want the bigger problem to be addressed. I have no problem with what's happening at 91, other than it's going to put a lot more water down my driveway. You're using it for a sewer. I will not have that. Nobody in this room would tolerate that. I will bring in my own civil engineer. I believe I need a basin there. I already have 2 acres that the township has taken for a catchment basin. That's on my one side of the property. It serves the next street over very good. They have virtually no problem that compares to mine. When it rains hard, I go to the next street over. They've got a nice catchment basin on my property. I have what? I have erosion. I can show you the erosion beds going down around my trees. I want to work with you. If I can't work with you, I will litigate. I've given this township over $50,000, and I get nothing back. I'm not counting school taxes. This is property taxes, not property taxes. This is earned income taxes. I didn't have the money before to fight this. I have it now, and I'm angry, and I'm upset, and I want to know tonight, where do we go from here with this? Am I going to be included? I want to know tonight. Are there plans in writing? I want to know. Are there plans in writing for this project? Scott, Mr. Anderson, are there plans for this?
The company I worked with previously did prepare a plan.
For that, I want to know if there is a plan for the temporary culvert in writing. I want to know how that fits into a bigger picture. What else is gonna happen? When you say temporary, I assume that more things will occur.
I didn't say temporary.
Look, you know where I am, right? It says temporary, it says it in the minutes.
I don't know, sorry, I'm just, you're asking a lot of questions I don't have answers for, just
Well,
because I
that's the
haven't
problem. I
been.
walk out of here, you don't have answers. When do I get answers? I'm tired of this. This is
There's a
12
background
years in the
project
making.
I can't give
My
answers
problem,
to,
my
so
parent,
he
my
wants to
property's
direct
been
me
damaged for
on
12
that.
years.
The project's still being put together?
No, the project was bid, it was awarded prior to
And that's-
me coming on board, Craft Engineering coming on board.
Okay,
They hadn't acted on the, notice to proceed. They had reached out on Thursday, I think, and said that we're looking to get back in there. Plan was to meet, talk to them when they got on site about the project.
and that's on
They-
91,
Yeah, well, it's in the cul-de-sac of Rock Ridge, and
and
it
you're
was
working
along
within
the
the
frontage.
right of way, or what?
That was what it looked like, there was a
They're
temporary.
actually cutting a
construction-
swale across my property at one point.
There's a construction easement, everything's within easements that were established on previous plans from what I see.
I need a current plan.
And then
You
how's
have
it tie
a
into-
current plan.
The water runoff, does he has something on his property where the water?
From what I see and what I have understood from this project before, there was a swale to be constructed as part of this plan, really to tie in and discharge at the same point the swale that is being replaced.
That swale was supposed to go around the property.
In a previous plan that was approved, there was another
I
plan.
need current plans because that was stage 4.
Okay, there was different stages to Mountaineer Village,
Okay,
and at one point, there was a temporary cul-de-sac put in. Then there was
I'm not
permanent.
included in any of
There
this.
was-
You make plans and you don't send me a copy of the plans?
I don't-
It's my property.
I didn't make any plans, sir. I
Oh,
just,
we did,
okay, so when is the work supposed to be done at 91 Rock Ridge?
they were gonna get out there and do it today, and so, for
And that's
whatever
strictly for
reason,
91.
they left the site, and.
I asked them to
Okay.
leave.
Well,
So
it's
the
for the
gentleman
public
asked.
right.
me-
I would have gotten a
Within the
stop
public
order
right
this
of way.
morning if they
Okay.
had
It's
left.
not just limited to 91.
Okay, so anything that's on 91, and then they're within the right of way to finish,
Correct.
And there
okay.
was, yes, there was a temporary construction easement for the work that wasn't in the right of way, but that was with 91 Rock
Solely
Ridge.
on 91, right?
okay.
Yeah, I can't hear you when you speak that with your little loud.
There was some work outside of the right of way, but that was on 91 Rock Ridge, and that was a temporary construction easement for that section of work.
they need
You're
to
giving them a
include
good
us.
response.
That's
I
all.
need to have current plans. I need to know what you're planning
what
on
he's
doing
asking for, I
before you
think,
come
is
on my
He
property
wants
to
to
do
know
it.
what's gonna
I
be
don't-
done within our right of way to his, on his, at
The
his
best
property.
solution to that's probably to look at the plan that's attached to the temporary construction easement.
Okay.
They're
So,
putting a culvert there. To me, a culvert is a place where all the water runs.
can he have a copy of that? Okay,
I mean,
so can we get a copy to him, just showing him what we're doing within our right of way and?
Yeah.
Scott, let me ask you a
Okay.
question right now, Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry. Where will the water go after it comes down the swale and into that temporary culvert? Where will that water then go?
And again, it's not
Where
temporary.
will the water go?
It's not temporary, it would be a permanent
That's the
structure.
word, it's called temporary right now. You've got an
It's not.
approval for
It's not,
temporary.
it's not,
I don't know where you.
It's a temporary construction easement, so that means that there's gonna be an area on 91 Rock Ridge where the construction people, equipment, supplies will sit for a day or two while the work is done. That's what it means by temporary. When that construction's over, then that temporary construction easement
I will have to
expires.
go back and look, but the words that I believed I read from the minutes were temporary culvert. Now, what am I supposed to
There's no
construe
temp-
from that?
there's
Maybe
no
it's a
temporary-
construction of a
There is
culvert?
no,
There is
there
no
is no
temporary
temporary, there's no
Okay, well
temporary
then,
improvement.
well then I'm really,
Once
now I'm
it's-
really concerned. Now I'm really concerned. Where
So
does the
to
water
clear-
go,
to
sir?
clear up-
Mr. Anderson, where
Sir.
does the water go?
Sir, to clear up all of your questions, I think the board is expressing a willingness to share that plan with you.
Yeah.
And so you'll see exactly what the work entails.
And I will have ample time to take that to my own civil engineer. You need a catchment basement there. You know that.
So, how long?
He
will it
knows
take to
that.
get a
There should
copy
be a
to him?
catchment basement there. He knows that.
The construction was really matching what the approved plan was, I mean, there is
Okay.
options for alternative designs, I understand what you're saying, but this was an approved plan.
Shouldn't we
Okay.
be
So-
included in these decisions?
Shouldn't we have been included? I
Since
swear,
when
I
we started-
asked,
Give him a
I asked
copy.
12 years ago, I asked,
And then what do we wanna do
Last
about
fall.
Brisbane coming out and,
Well, they were pushed off the site, really, I mean, they were asked to stop, so they came out and they left. So I'm not too sure, they asked us, what do we do from here, but they were leaving for the
I mean,
day, so.
can they work on
have to figure
ninety-one
out.
without
they can't, if it were-
going through and finishing? I mean, we're gonna finish, it's in our right of way, but I mean, until you get a copy of this to him, show
Yeah,
him what
they-
we're gonna do.
Yeah, they're holding off indefinitely at this point. in
Okay.
time, Yes. And
I
because
need
they
to
had
know
delays,
whether you will
Okay,
resume
so
construction
now they
before I
to
have an
reschedule
opportunity.
us within their,
Yes.
okay. All right, so we will get a copy of the plan to you.
Okay, and I
Okay.
need the old plans, all stages, the new plan, all stages, I wanna know.
I don't supply those, if you wanna, I don't know
Yeah,
how
we're-
the township
yeah,
wants
does
to
the
approach
county-
that,
who
it's not
has-
a,
It's all on the county's website.
That you have to go to the county's website for old plans and stuff. For the village,
yeah.
This was given to me by the last planner. Let me see, supplement drainage, I mean, I got plans here, my house is on here, my property lot number 2, I got stage 5, I've got these.
Are the
Okay.
rules
And
for
okay,
that
these were
here?
hung on my mailbox on my way to the meeting, 30 days after I was supposed to have
okay,
it.
so you don't need those plans then.
That was 12 years
This
ago.
is 12 years ago, how about the current?
What about what's happening, what's happening currently?
There isn't,
Yeah, I don't know.
so the only current plan is the plan that they said we will provide you a copy of. That
Okay.
current plan has to do with that swale along the.
Can I get a copy
cul-de-sac.
of these plans? You're telling me I need to go online to get the new plans?
To the county.
No, she's not saying that there's new plans. The plans that are in your hands are available online at the county. That's what I
Okay.
printed out before I came here.
I assume that they've been revised, is
Plans
that what you're saying?
from, what's the date, geez,
Swale.
1992.
Yeah,
So,
1992.
you know, there might have actually been a swale there at one point.
so in 1992, that was the most recent plan, and then all of them, I believe, that was phase 5. So all of them preceded that, so there was no new plans except for the
Okay, so
work
these
that.
plans are current, okay, they were given to me 12, 13 years ago. So we're going back to 2009, I have annotated notes here referencing 2009.
How is the plan for 91 going to affect us? Do we know that?
Where will the water go when it goes into the catchment basin, not, when it goes into the culvert?
From
That
what
water's
I've,
gonna come down a
from what I've
swale,
seen on
it's
the
gonna go into
plan,
a concrete thing,
No,
then
no,
what
no.
happens?
it's basically a stone swale that where it used to go around the old cul-de-sac, it now goes around the current cul-de-sac within the township right of way to the point where it discharges now, which is adjacent to your driveway,
So it discharges onto our driveway?
Property,
Is that
along our
what you're
driveway.
saying?
in the drainage easement that's out there, yes.
I will fight that.
Well, that's part of the 92 and previous plans, and that's what I'm saying.
I will fight the installation that you were going to start this morning. I want it to stop. I want to get the paperwork that I need. I want to be able to get a lawyer and a civil engineer out there. This is adversarial now. I don't want to be doing this, but I have the money to do it now, and I didn't have it 13 years
Okay,
ago.
so we'll get you the plans, okay?
Which, but the plan for the work on 91? Property 91, or these plans? I need both.
The
The
91.
91,
Okay, and I will get the others online then.
check county.
Yeah, if you go to the
Which
Berks
county site is
Berks
that?
County website, you have to go through there, but they have all the plans available to view.
But you're gonna
if you
give
want
us
them.
the ones, the current ones, physically,
The work that's being done, the plans,
Yeah, the
You're gonna
current
give
work,
it to
yeah,
us.
for the,
Yes.
yeah.
okay.
okay?
And we
Yeah.
have a right to review them with someone to see how it affects us?
Yeah, does anybody want my input at all, other than me to
I
come
mean,
here and rant and rave at a meeting?
I can't stop you from going to someone to review
Does
it.
anybody here remember me standing here and saying I wanna cooperate? That I wanted, that, nobody remember, okay, it was a great speech. Yeah, I've already been through this twice now. So I'm just at a point now where it's easier for me to get a lawyer, it's
Okay.
easier for me to get a civil engineer, and then we go to court, and then we get a drainage basin, don't you think?
Okay, let's get, we'll get the plans to
Silence
you,
is worth
and then
a
we'll
lot.
go from there.
No, there's already a drainage easement on your property, sir.
It's on the street above mine, which has not anywhere near the drainage problems I have. That's on the upper left of my property that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have all the water from other people dumping into my catchment basement. Plus, I don't have use of that piece of the property. Plus, it's not in satisfactory condition. I was told that in 2009, that work needed to be done.
What the engineers have reported, both the prior engineer and this one, is that the same amount of water is gonna be discharged at the same point to go to the same detention basin.
That, there is not a detention, we're not talking, that detention basement is for the street above me. They got one, I didn't. They have nowhere near the amount of runoff that I have.
So if you think that that's an error.
And they don't have a house in there.
If you think that's an error and the discharge is not in the same spot, or if the discharge has increased, would increase in
No,
bulk.
it's,
Let me just, if you think that the stormwater is changed direction and is not within the easement, or if you think that there is more stormwater that would be generated in volume or speed, then let the township know and the engineer can look at it, but from
well,
the standpoint of the board.
sir, I appreciate what you're
right
saying.
now-
Mr. Anderson, you know that that catchment basement is for the street above me, and nothing comes down Rock Ridge into a catchment basement. It runs onto my property directly. I'm talking about huge amounts of water. I'm not talking about a trickle, I'm talking about water streaming. You saw what that cul-de-sac looked like, it's all broken up and eroded. That catchment basement isn't on my property. They put a catchment basement on my property for somebody else's runoff, when mine is much worse, and I don't have a catchment basement and I'm suffering erosion. If you lived in my property, it would not happen if a supervisor lived there. Come on.
That's not true.
You would let all that water run on your property? You
We
should
have flooding on
best
our
come look
property.
at
It
my.
all comes from Mountaineer Village, comes down the road and comes across. I can show you pictures of water this deep in my front yard and going down.
Okay, well, this
between the houses.
happens
The
regularly.
water runs
Okay,
downhill,
it happens.
and I'm not gonna fight it.
With at least one exception. You wouldn't want this, you wouldn't tolerate this. This goes every time it rains. This isn't just occasional.
Okay, was there anything else that you needed, other than the plans?
I need that plan, and I need to know that that work will not resume.
I can't answer that, I mean, I don't know, they're not coming out.
If
We
you're
don't
going to
have a
resume the work, I
rescheduled
need to
date,
go
is
to
that
court
correct?
to stop it. I need to know tonight.
As of right now, I have no date.
Brian was at the job site today and told them to stop working, and they stopped working
Right.
and left the site. And we said we'd keep them posted,
Okay.
knowing we're gonna be here tonight. And
You also told me that I would have collaboration
If
too.
this was something
I don't
that
understand how you can do
was
something on my property without talking to me when I
proceed
come
or
to you and
not,
say,
I think
please
that's-
include
Do they
me.
not want to
I
proceed
pay a
yet,
lot of
or
taxes.
what, I mean, are they hesitant?
Sounds to me that we're working on our right of way, right? We're not
We-
working on his property.
We're in our right of way, correct?
everything on the plan is within the right of way or within the allotted stormwater easements. That's the work that was proposed.
Why don't you take a look at the drawing that we're gonna give you and,
Yeah, let me do that, and let me get everything together first. I just need to know that nothing else is going to be going on there until I have ample time. At least by then, I'll be here at the next meeting, I'll let you know where I'm at, what my status is, or you can call me. I'm the one that wants to collaborate,
Okay.
okay,
okay? Now, one other thing I need, I understand there's something about runoff, there's something about runoff, there's laws or ordinances, there's guidelines around water runoff and erosion in the township. Something I thought I saw on the site. I have access to that, I'll look at that and see if that doesn't actually apply to my situation
Okay.
directly.
All right. Anyone else? Not
Thank you
anyone?
for your
No?
time.
I'm good, I was
Okay.
ready for them to start today, so.
That's not gonna happen,
All right.
it's not gonna
Tree
happen,
work update.
it doesn't happen.
Anything on the tree work update?
No.
Is it done? Okay. Current ordinance under review, nuisance repeal and new weed ordinance. Did we,
yeah, I pulled out what Eric sent,
Get away.
Scott sent to Eric, what, it says on here that other township has weed ordinances, all right? The ordinance that was wrote up, it pretty close to what they have? Did you look at that?
I have not looked at it specifically, only because if that does go into effect, that's really gonna be something enforced by Terry for the codes. But yeah,
We had weed ordinance when I was supervisor many, many years ago.
Mhm.
What do I need to do to get that lot in center of Morgantown cleaned up? That's what I'm looking to try to get done, okay? They're across from Exxon.
I think Terry is gonna be in attendance later tonight,
Okay.
and I think he'd probably be the better one to ask on that one.
Yeah, I don't have a problem, I know that,
Legally, it's adopting the weed ordinance is your answer.
yeah, but
Then
you said
it's-
at the last meeting that, you know, we gotta worry about other places. I didn't know whether we have in the town, or it's within the town limits, you know what I mean?
You can make that geographic restriction based on zoning district or geography. I think that's an acceptable way to distinguish.
Yeah, that way we kinda separate
An
that.
acre or 2 acres.
Yeah.
That'd be another.
Anything less than an acre or 2 acres has to be done.
Okay, so
If
do
the
you-
oth- I like to see the other townships ordinances that, you know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Isn't it on-
From a legal perspective, Paul, most townships adopt what's called the International Property Maintenance Code. It's a standardized code, and within that code, there are regulations on length of grass. So that's probably 90% of the townships out there do that. Carnarvon has had that debate in prior boards and have decided not to do that. They wanted to be a little bit more liberal, which is a completely fair, position to take. But I can provide you with a copy of the International Property Maintenance Code that has those regulations, and that's what most ordinances.
But we
will
stay
do.
away from that because we don't want to apply into Mountaineer Village and the people that
And
live in the
I
country.
kind of agree with that.
So, yeah, so that's why we need
So
something
if we
specialized. If you
do-
wanna do in town, then you do in town.
So if you wanna do that, it'd be great,
Yep,
okay?
we'll do.
Park rules, did Park and Rec go over that? Is that where we have this, for the park signs for them to have input on it?
This, I think that goes way back, yes, they did provide comments, but Lisa from the police department did do a spreadsheet, so that you all can see how the various signs are different. And, to kind of help you see, there's some inconsistencies.
We had just made the suggestion about the sunrise to sunset.
Okay. And then some of the signs have to be different. Is that what we came up with last time? They can't all be
They can't
identical.
all be sunrise and sunset, you're paying for lights over here at the
Right.
basketball court, so that one's kinda different. Later, there's gonna be another topic on that, so.
Do we know? Well, these two aren't here anyway, so at least we have this to review. I should probably wait till everyone's here and you have another subject.
Paul's on.
Oh, is he? Okay.
You may wanna let the minutes reflect Paul's attendance.
Okay, so now that we have this, I'd rather have this printed off and then start reviewing it instead of trying to go through it now.
I'm good with that.
Did anyone have anything to add before we move on? Okay. Stormwater driveway pipe items, North Twin Valley Road drainage, follow-up letter. Is this all Terry?
No, the North Twin Valley Road, that actually was a great value letter, from Eric, I believe, but I think I can talk to Terry on that one and see how best to follow up on that. It seemed like, was that tied to another, a separate project that was?
It was part of the Sunoco grant one, so, yes.
Okay. And I think there was a lack of response on that one, so that,
Okay, so nothing on this.
nothing on that one.
Swamp Road?
March 22nd, is that right, Eric?
Yep, that sounds about right, yes.
And then 91 Broad X, we took care of that. Shiloh and California Road issue,
Not at this time, no, for the Settlers Trail.
Sunoco Road agreement update.
I think they have signed off on is the agreement final at this point in time? I think they provided the.
That could probably be crossed off, Sunoco.
done.
Right. We're just waiting for payment.
Right.
Is that why it's on there then? Okay. Thousand Oaks Bridge inspection report. Is there an update to that or something different? Or?
So, well, yeah, where's my stuff? Basically, the inspecting company, I reached out to them to verify, there's a, priority that they flagged on that, and there's a area that settled. As a result, it was part of the back wall had given in around the water pipe that crosses over to Morgan's utility. It collapsed around that, stone was, falling in, and they gave it a 6-month to have that, addressed. I believe it's the end of April, roughly, I think April 21st. I wanted to verify that it wasn't something that was a structural repair, that if Keith could get in there and look at it and make that repair and simply take the pictures, provide it, that they were okay with it. They are okay with that. I don't know if there has to be any kind of a authorization for him to get in there and perform that emergency work to do that. It's really kind of undefined on what has to be done. There might be a timber on the back side of the wall that has given way that needs to be replaced. Maybe it's just kind of form it and pour a little oval fill or something around
Okay,
that.
so
to be
worst
able to
case
do it.
scenario, what would the cost be replacing that? Just an estimate, I mean.
I don't think it's gonna, there's no way it should exceed 10,000, but I mean, I'm gonna tell you fives. I have no idea until I open it up,
Right,
on what
right.
the extent is. And I'm not giving you, I think 5 would cover whatever we gotta do. I won't do the pavement restoration, but at least to get the repair made to satisfy the paving season and get here.
I would
Make
agree.
a motion to go ahead and approve up to 10,000 to get the repair done.
Basically, if there isn't a repair done by
It has to be
April
done.
21st, they can,
Right.
they can restrict it, travel over the bridge. or
We need to
anything.
get it done.
We're gonna,
Okay, so
I'll make the motion.
motion,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Now, do you think we should put a bridge restriction?
They have not required that at this point.
Okay.
I think there's different things that might become issues very fast. I think the fact that it's an all timber bridge is gonna catch up with those inspection reports sooner than later. And I think that is something that's gonna have to be on the radar very soon for budgeting and what options there are for repairing it.
Alright, and Friendship Park cameras and lighting poles, is that what we approved at the last meeting? To move
that
forward with?
is. Now, we received multiple requests for changes to that work order, to the point where I got a notice that there was free telephone poles available.
And who determines whether those free poles are up to standard and if it's worth going with free poles versus new poles?
That was my question to the board. The bottom line is what I put out or asked the vendor to quote has changed to the point where I'm kind of wanting to abort on that original, what you approved last month, and kind of start over. If we're gonna use new or old poles, then somebody has to evaluate them, determine whether they're good enough, whether you like
We
them.
wanna use old poles. I mean, we're putting this in for the first time, why would we use old
I thought the
poles?
poles were too short, I think.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, I can just barely hear anybody, but you're talking about the light poles, right?
Yes.
Okay, Cold Reef's got to Eshelman's and had some telephone poles donated for free. So that's the changes that took place. I think, I forget what the quote was we got from, Baldwin, was it? But, if it's free, it's for me. I mean, I think we use the poles we got for free.
Did you inspect the poles? I mean, these were poles taken out, they're used poles, right?
They're used poles, but they were picked through to pick out the good poles. I mean, they're decent poles.
Okay, so, and you determined that, right? Or did Eshelman?
I can't hear you.
Who determined they were good poles? Paulie did.
Paulie and Cole. And I don't have a problem with that. My concern here is I had a company give us a bid to put new ones in, set poles and run some conduit. And now that it's changed almost enough. The scope of the work is different.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that it kind of got, in fairness to the contractor, they should have the opportunity, will they set used poles?
Okay, so
And,
now,
and what is the cost
so
for that?
basically, we're withdrawing what we did last, meeting.
That's my approach, and I just want everybody here that we're on level playing
So do we
field.
wanna move forward with using the used poles and have the contractor see if they'll even put used poles in?
That would be my approach. I wanna be fair to
My
everybody.
approach too.
Okay, so,
Yeah, well, the poles that were quoted were 20-footers, and these are almost 35, 40-foot, and I think to put lights on top of them, we need to go a little bit higher, because I don't want the lights in everybody's faces.
okay.
So the poles he got are 35 or 39 foot, the ones that Baldwin quoted us were only 20-footers.
I don't remember.
Okay, so do you wanna go ahead and get a quote, see if they'll even install the used poles?
That's not a problem. I'm already adding electric to that. You approved, Vector Security needs a cabinet mounted with these poles for the camera. They need electric. So at the last meeting, you allowed us a $1,000 leeway for doing this.
Right, so that should cover with the free poles and the poles being taken
Well,
out of cost.
and Parks and Rec's asking for some additional lighting, so there's gonna be some additional conduit, which would only be a few $100
Okay,
worth of conduit to put in the trench. I'm just saying that Copper's changes price daily, maybe hourly. So I'm looking for $2,000 or $2,500 extra, just to make sure that
you're covered with
I can cover with electric, so that I can at least put the conduit in the
Yeah,
ground.
I don't see what the problem is. I know Colt had talked to Keith, and he even offered to get a trencher to do the trenching for free.
Okay, there's no problem, we're just gonna increase the amount.
And
Okay, yeah, I can't hear squat.
that's,
Okay, so,
the trenching that's what I'm saying, they have people that are willing to do some of this work for free that was put out in a bid. And if you're gonna change all that scope of work, we need to just kind of get a list together of
okay, so you
what
wanna
we really want.
put everything together,
Right.
and then we'll add, do we wanna add 2,500 onto what we added last, what, did we, 6? What did
Well,
we-
you would have been around 6, but if we're gonna rebid it, I'm gonna put it back
Okay,
out and
all
let
right, so why
Baldwin
don't you do that?
ask the questions and
And
come
then
back with another bid.
Everyone okay with that?
We have
Okay.
casino money, we're loaded. Just get what
No.
you want.
Okay. Cornwall Fire Police request approval. Motion to approve this.
I make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Morgantown sign installation update. Anything?
Nothing.
3011 best road plans for signature. So,
Scott, you
any
ready?
updates or
Well,
just
they had
need
the-
signatures or?
I had stopped by just to take a look at them for what, Joan had on record as the last review letter, and everything seems to be in place, so I think they're good to go.
Okay, so then we just need the signatures of the supervisor. Okay. Administrators report. Laptop, iPad quote.
So, yeah, technology it's really hard to keep up with supply and demand. So Lynx needed to provide a new laptop quote, which I provided in your packet. And then Polly, the last meeting, had mentioned, Microsoft Surface. So apparently this would work. It's gonna be a little more money, but it's up to the board. I mean, it kinda looks like an iPad,
Okay.
but you can go on the network. I can easily load the packet.
Okay.
I don't know if you wanna approve one and
Try it or?
At least try it, yeah.
Okay, who need, you need?
He
Okay,
needs
you're
to
the
replace
one.
parts.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with getting one, making
I've
sure
had
that
5 of them.
works for
I'll
us.
have the
Yeah.
motion.
I have a Surface 7 now,
We have a
Surface Pro.
motion.
Are we all right?
Yeah, I started with the 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep buying them. They're very
What about
nice.
computer
They're
geeks?
a little expensive, but they're very nice. They're very portable.
Yeah, these computers we have are terrible.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're really good
I made a
computers.
motion.
we have a
I'll
motion,
second.
a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, what's this for one?
Yeah, we're gonna try one, yeah, we'll try one, and then we'll move on from there.
Okay. Yeah, because I can't access my packet on this computer.
I had that problem earlier today.
Microsoft Surface.
property insurance renewal forms, vehicle schedule, statement of values. So do we normally throw that out to the departments? Is it out now? Everyone's reviewing it? Okay. And then you'll have that back. When do you need it in by?
What is that? I always let them know we have board meetings, so we can hear back this week.
Okay, so if you can return that, update any equipment, values, vehicles. And then inland 2, inland 1,
That's all part of the.
that's all part of the schedule,
insurance.
okay. Oh, the inland marine.
Mhm.
Additional interest, okay. 2021 township audit in process.
Yeah, so RKL was here, they confirmed their meeting, like, I don't know, it might have been on Friday and they came Monday, which, you know, they're busy trying to make their rounds, but they were here about 2 days. So I should hear something soon, you know, where I can provide the board the results.
All right, carnival update. Contract, is the contract in file?
No, I think Paulie's gonna send that to me.
What's that?
The contract, is that in file yet here at the township?
The contract for the carnival?
Yeah, the one we had signed a couple meetings back.
Tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
Yeah, I have the contract. What are you asking me?
Oh, to get it to Joan so she can put it in file.
Yeah, I'll get that to her.
Okay.
Are we on the carnival? Cause I can't, is that where we're at?
Yep, that's where we're at.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, Joan, I guess you received something, correct? You got a donation?
Correct.
Okay. I know emails went out, I think, on at the beginning of March, just to try to get return vendors. So we should hopefully start seeing some of them in, and we also sent out the, donation for fireworks in the event, so we'll start seeing that in. We did post some stuff on Facebook to start advertising for it. Entertainment, I'm still waiting on some contracts, so I can present the board. Fireworks, I'm waiting on a contract from them as well, so I can lock them in, so hopefully I'll have something maybe next regular meeting.
Okay. And we need to change the date of the meeting. So we have, the regular meeting would be on, well, we have also the,
It's Tuesday, June 14th, we wanna move it to the Monday, the 13th, right?
well, we have planning meeting that Monday. So is this, I mean, I guess we can run both meetings, we'll just use 2 different rooms? Is that allowed? I mean, does that matter?
For Jeff, it would be a conflict, you know, you
Can't be in 2 places at once.
he's,
Do you know for a fact?
I'm more concerned about the parking, you're not gonna have any parking.
True, yeah.
let me see.
Well, that Monday we should be fine, right? When does, I thought the carnival started Tuesday.
So.
Wanna make it-
I mean, if it was a workshop, we just canceled, but it's not.
Right. So the planning commission typically meets the 3rd Tuesday, so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're fine.
We can change that to the
So what's
next-
on Monday?
Usually the carnival falls on that week,
Maybe.
so we can go to the planning commission and ask them if they can do the following Tuesday. Which I think works out as the typical 3rd Tuesday for them. Was that right?
Yeah, the 3rd Tuesday would be the 21st.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We
Okay,
just need to advertise the change.
and then put the supervisor meeting for the 13th, Monday. Motion to advertise that?
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Does advertising include putting it on the website?
Yes, we update the website with those meeting dates, right, Joe? I mean, they're all on there now, but we'll put a change on there.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, 24 hours before, well, we have our deadline now with posting agendas, but, when it runs in the paper, I post it out here on the bulletin board, but I can put it on the website.
So it runs in the paper.
We have to, because we're changing the dates.
No, I was just wondering what the, like, I don't get paper.
No, well,
You have to look at public notices on the internet. That's how I picked up the other info. It's a pain in the neck.
Just out of curiosity, with the carnival, does that go on the website?
The carnival has their own page, but
So we just follow, okay, I was just curious.
I'm not sure, I assume the carnival's on the website, I mean, do we have anything on our website for it, or do they have their own page? Yeah, they have their own page.
Facebook.
Polly, do you have anything else for carnival?
What's that?
Do you have anything else for carnival?
Nope.
Okay, maintenance department, monthly report.
Monthly report. The new Freightliner, I'm expecting to hear we're gonna take delivery of that inside of the next month. The International that I'm assuming we're gonna sell, the 2005. I got a quote from Travis Stacy to sandblast the dump body and put a fresh coat of black paint on it. I think it would greatly improve its aesthetics as far as curb appeal for selling. He said it would be $1,500 or less. Does the board want to spend that to try to help sell it or not? I mean, it could really use it. It's painted yellow that doesn't match the cab, so putting black on it is just gonna make it look a little better. But it's a mild steel body. You tell me whether you just wanna spend the money.
Do you think it'd be enough to make it better?
You got us 1,500 more,
Yeah.
otherwise we're selling.
In
it
this,
too.
I'll be honest, in this car environment, nothing's for sure. Everything seems to be either worth a whole lot or nothing. If I was looking at the purchase, I certainly think it would help. And it's got some pretty ugly rusty spots on it, so getting that blasted and coat of primer and some paint on it just doesn't seem like that much. But it's the board's decision. You let me know.
I'll make the
Motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I had inquired in the past about the purchase of a tree chipper for the township public works. I got a quote. That quote has a gas motor on it instead of a diesel. With the tier 4 emissions on the diesels, you're looking at an extra, let's just say 20,000. 20,000 plus with the emissions on a diesel, and we're not running it every day, so I felt like the gas motor would probably be sufficient.
I think gas is fine.
And you have that in the account?
I'm not really asking to buy it, that's FYI at this point. It's gonna be something that's gonna be, I believe we're gonna need it in the future. I'm renting one, right, so that prepared for me to come back with, that's just kinda FYI. The 22 Chevy pickup, I'm told, should be out at Kutz's. It was getting a braid liner put in it last week and should be at Kutz's for the snowplow mount. And then we'll be swapping the 2021 out for the 2022. Truck 5, that's the 2000 Chevy that we decided we were going to liquidate on municipal bid. I need to know whether the board wants to set up a reserve bid on that before we post it. If you
Give
put
me an idea what the reserve would be.
not in this environment, there's interest in this truck.
I mean, you should get decent money, I mean.
Well, you're selling something that has to leave here on a wrecker or on a rollback. So whether value is
There's places
depends.
not able to get trucks, so I mean, they might be able to.
I would agree with you. If you put a reserve of 3,000 and you're willing to sell it for that, somebody bids 3,500, they're committed. If you don't put a reserve or you make it too high, then there's no commitment on the high bidder to take it. So that's just how municipal works.
Well, we can always go down, just can't go up.
Do you want to put a reserve on it, or?
Yeah, what?
I mean, it's not running now.
Offers on it yet?
I've had some real lowball offers on it. I'm thinking the truck, my personal opinion would be 3,000 would be a start. Municipal bid's free, but at least if you get somebody that bids that, they're committed to purchasing it. If they bid $2,950, they're not committed. You can go back and offer it to them, but they don't have to commit to that. If they don't meet your reserve.
3,000 is fine.
You can put it back up another 45 days if you don't, or 30 days on municipal bid if you don't get it in the first try.
We did that with truck 2.
One.
We kept trying to, we never did get that money that we wanted for that one.
Okay, so what do you want to do? Initially put a reserve on it, you're saying for 3,000, or?
That would, You agree, or you think
Well, I'm
too
just,
much?
yeah, like 3,500 would always go down next time, so 3,000. If you think 3,000, I don't know what it looks like.
You said it's not running, right?
That's what I was
Leave
gonna
on
say,
record.
being it's not running, and we're not.
It
running.
currently runs, it's just not fit for the road, it shuts off, it needs a diesel fuel injection pump and
That's
Elmer's,
$3,000.
Elmer's quote
What
three.
we can get, so let's do
Right.
3,000.
Okay. Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
The last one on there for me is the Shiloh Road guardrail stuff, and I'm gonna kinda let that,
We got a new one.
You had a new one.
It's always a new one.
It's out already, right? It's down.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
it
down
was-
already, yeah.
oh, it was dark when I came.
Saturday.
in.
It's already
Oh my
down.
God.
So you want me to just kind of?
Well,
run a little
basically,
bit here?
I had Joan forward the LTAP study to Scott, because he wasn't involved when we did get it. So he was starting to look at it today to be able to review some things, make some suggestions. You all should have it, the LTAP study too. Guy got off the turnpike, was trying to turn around to get back onto the turnpike. He was not the brightest bulb in the pack. But what can I say? It's up to you guys, it is on PennDOT's dime. Repairs are made by PennDOT, and it's up to PennDOT to collect the money.
So we have no say over whether we put.
We can do, some restrictions
Okay.
as to turning southbound on Morgantown Road. So basically, any trucks that would be coming towards town,
Right,
making it
can't
right.
make a
We
right.
can do a study
Okay.
and have, if you authorize Scott to move forward on it.
And there's options on that too. Part of what LTAP is saying in the conversations they had with the chief is LTAP does a lot of studies without having to pay your engineer to do it. It just sometimes it depends on when they get to that point of doing that and providing that information. But they're talking
Safety all
about,
over this.
what's that?
It's they're the ones paying for this all the time.
True, I mean, they are paying for it. I think it's just a matter of, was the township gonna be a little proactive on this to try to see that? I think one of the big things here, and the LTAP information says it as well, is reach out to PennDOT and talk to them about any kind of impacts, even if it's just a sign you're gonna put on their road, which ultimately, I think that's where it probably will lead.
Right.
I think we ought to just have them come to the township or do just a quick conference call with them and kind of, I think one of the big things is he's pointed out, we don't want them in any way to say, well, you did a traffic study, the restrictions, and you're kind of taking ownership of maintaining that as well. I don't think it'll go that route, but just to see what their thoughts are on posting the signs, because we want to put it on Route 10 if we're gonna
Right,
restrict some
so
traffic.
can we contact them and
I think we reach out to them and get their take on it. We know LTAP has kind of said,
who knows,
do
maybe
the
they'll just come
traffic
down and put a
study.
sign up.
Maybe that's simple, right?
And that's, this Act 31 of 2018, there's some different things in the traffic code that have changed that I'm not completely aware of from looking into this. And maybe there is, it sounds like some of this does restrict certain local traffic, and they may be able to put that on there. The only issue there is it doesn't restrict all trucks. So if under the 40-foot trailer, 45-foot trailers are still having accidents, that wouldn't restrict it, and you would have to go the extra step for the study.
And I don't
But-
know that it's that many, it's usually the tractor trailers that are hung up on this.
Can you do local traffic only?
Well, but that one,
No.
say a tractor trailer might be local,
Oh,
because it goes there every
yeah,
day.
that's true.
Doesn't that say no trucks at all?
No.
I don't haven't
No,
seen
the only restriction for no trucks is parts between Shiloh and Mind You. That's the only one that's posted that way.
And another thing, PennDOT's not paying for that. Doesn't the trucking company have insurance?
PennDOT pays
Only
the
when we
guide
catch
rail
them.
company
Well,
repair, and then PennDOT bills,
did you catch the person?
yes.
But they don't always catch them, that's what I'm saying.
Do they get fined?
No, because they're not
There's no-
violating anything.
Right.
Well, they're running off the road and running the guardrail over.
Not a
Okay, so
violation.
you're gonna,
Well,
Not
that's careless driving.
you guys are gonna reach out to
They
PennDOT
pay
to
the
see
price.
what.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
If you want me, Scott, to keep follow up on this, try and get something.
Mailbox.
Keith asked if that he
Part of the mowing operations, a tree branch fell on the mailbox from a perpetual complainer. Haven't heard anything, so I just put it out there if he does
Okay.
move forward. Yeah, the tree fell on one.
Okay, so you turned the address in and have all that?
I didn't
Okay.
get the address, I said the resident's name.
Okay,
That was easier.
all right. SEO report. Library. Tax collector. Police department.
Yeah, the monthly activity report stayed fairly busy. 543 calls for the month, 16 citations and warnings, 21 criminal arrests. As you see, a lot of our yearly trainings going on right now for MOPEC, getting that out of the way. Also, we've received a grant from the Berks County Community Foundation in the amount of $2,779 to buy some new first aid bags and a gun locker. So that was a donation through the foundation. So those items will be paid for by that grant.
Any casino arrests?
Actually, knock on wood now.
No.
No, it's
I know
been-
there was a drug overdose.
There's been
yeah.
a couple minor calls, but
Yeah.
the activity wise, believe it or
good.
not, are very minimal.
And we didn't have anything to do with that drug overdose, right?
That is correct.
State handled that.
That was inside the casino grounds of the building.
Okay, zoning code enforcement.
We got one more thing under police,
Oh, okay.
or two, but one will be out there executive. Number 3, I guess, is where we wanna go with the Chevrolet, the old Chevy 2003 Chevrolet Tahoe. I know there was talk about it going to Keith for the maintenance department, but I understand running a pickup truck instead. So if he's not gonna take it, you know, or they're not gonna want it, do we want to put it up for sale, or do you want me to repurpose it and me use it? Until it falls off.
Did you
falls
find out
apart.
a price on what it would cost us to or to buy the one that you're running now?
I did not, because they didn't act like they wanted to. They were gonna get me a price on a 2023 when GM made them available.
Okay, so,
You'd rather have a pickup,
Absolutely. Now, that being said, my conversation with Paul went, if you're gonna sell it, we would make do with it. If you're gonna if we wanna clean it up and let him drive it, then makes perfect sense to me too. So, it's up to you.
See how many more months I can get out of it if you want. I'll keep it in service. Just put one of the spare radios back in it and take it from there.
and then just drive it till it dies.
Yeah.
Might as
You wish.
well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
The new truck, are we keeping it a pickup truck or are we making it a utility?
The new trucks stay in a pickup.
I mean, I don't have a problem with him just taking that and we can just sell the Tahoe.
Well, I don't think he can hear you. I don't think he can hear you, Paul.
Paulie, can you hear me?
Yeah,
So the question is, A, being he may run a pickup truck, he doesn't want the Tahoe, either A, we sell it off, or B, I do some modifications to it and I just drive it until it dies myself.
like I said, I mean, if we're not gonna make the new pickup a utility, I mean, utility is what everybody else is gonna use, because all the tools are on it, but if a pickup, that'd be more of a foreman pickup, I would assume, correct? You're just getting it, the new one's gonna be able to have a plow on it, where the one we have now, you can't put a plow on, right?
Correct.
Correct.
So if I ordered a 2023, we could, in theory, order and make it a utility body and put tools in it. And then the one that's coming now, the 2022, would stay the foreman's truck, if you will, it'd be the pickup.
So,
And you were gonna keep a chainsaw in there, right? With a can of gas, so keeping a chainsaw and a can of gas inside an enclosed body
yeah.
may not be the smartest with the vapors of gas.
So, the pickup truck is the one we don't have, you're looking to order.
We're getting a replacement for the 2021. That's all that's
So
ordered.
that's all, okay, so we're talking about the trucks we already have ordered. Okay,
Right, and
all right.
that went,
Therefore, I
that
lost it. I thought like, where did another truck come in here?
we did, there was some inquiry about getting pricing on the 2023s when it was available, and that's all the
Okay,
inquiry
all right.
was.
Yeah, so if we already have these trucks ordered,
Correct.
then I'm fine with that. You can run that to the ground, because chances are we wouldn't get much for that anyway. So you might as well run it till it dies, and then we'll move on from there.
I'm good
That'll
with
buy
that.
us time to rebudget and hopefully get
You
through
making
the
that
year.
with the one we're getting from Burke's County?
They're still waiting for the title to come down from Harrisburg. Still waiting.
Okay, so then we're good, okay. Zoning code enforcement officer, not here, right? Here?
Correct.
Anybody have anything? No. First floor drive, driveway update, do we have anything on that? Valley Pond Basin update, that's also Terry, right?
Yes.
Morgantown garage parking lot update, anything updated on that? EMS. Fire department,
I see Jeff's not there, and, I'd asked Joe to put some stuff in your packets. Jeff and I attended a meeting last week over at Honeybrook Borough. What Honeybrook Elverson Ambulance is looking for is they're looking for, help from all the municipalities, with contributing some of our ARPA funds. I know that we talked as a board about giving a donation to Elverson Ambulance. This kind of tells us kind of what they're looking for. How they come up with this number is they kind of use the same formula that the fire company uses, where they base it off of population, I guess assessment of houses and number of calls. So I don't know what forms you have because I can't open up my packet. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 municipalities that currently the ambulance covers. And they're looking for, like I said, percentages from everybody. Now, it's all public knowledge of what we're receiving from that. But what they're looking for is a donation of right around $57,000 from us. They're gonna use these funds to purchase, I guess, 1 or 2 ambulances. Now, the meeting that I held with them several years ago, they were running into problems financially. Currently, they don't have a problem with what we donate them annually. This is something over top of that, so they can try to purchase some new ambulances. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I know we talked about donating to them, so I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at all that stuff. But it's actually, from what we got for the ARPA fund, it's like 14% of what we got if we donate them. The actual number is $56,898. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. I don't have a problem with it, but, you know, if we have plans for these funds, that maybe we need to talk about, I don't know.
yeah, I think we need to go over what we've been spending. And also, where does that come in with, can we cut them a check from this, for them to use on that? Or are we supposed to find out what they used during the period?
Yes.
So they have to show proof of what they used during the period of COVID during a certain time. We can't just say, oh, we wanna use this on purchasing vehicles. Now, we can, as a township,
Right,
but
operating
as
expenses.
far as the other ones we do donations to, we need a list of what they used during that time period they set up. And that's what we've been waiting on, for them to give us a list of what they used for COVID.
Right, and they did provide something a few months back, which, they went back even prior to the date that the federal government said you can't.
Right, we need those between the dates.
Right, so I calculated from March 2021 to the current date on their report, and I mean, that drastically cut it down.
So what figure did we come up with? Like 20, or was it even that high?
It was less than that.
It was less than that.
Do we service Honeybrook? So are they asking us for that much
Right, so
money?
how much was Honeybrook paying towards their portion?
Well, I have a little breakdown here. Honeybrook Borough, Honeybrook Borough, they're asking for $24,395. Honeybrook Township, they're asking for $122,624. Now, I don't know what municipalities all confirmed. We've only had 2 meetings regarding this. I know that Elverson Borough is involved in this, and they're willing to help out. I know that West Nampville, West Nampville, they're involved and that they're gonna donate. I'm still waiting to see here, but I just know that we talked about giving a donation. I think, Keith Fritz, made the suggestion. I think we all kind of agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know what kind of dollar amount you're looking at, but this is what they're asking for. I think I remember Eric saying one time that EMS could do that. They would just have to write a letter to say, what they were asking for. I don't know if that's the case.
Is it that list that they told us we need between certain dates?
Yeah, that's what we need to substantiate. So I think we're saying the same, what Joan just said is the same thing that I had said, is that we need a list. We can then convert it into a resolution that you guys typically approve.
Okay, so how about we do this? We do another letter telling them exactly what they need to submit for those dates for us to provide them with a donation. And then in the meantime, we'll calculate what we've spent of this money already, see what we have left, and then we'll come up with a figure.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right, so that's how, we're gonna move forward with that, Paulie, okay? We're gonna get the paperwork.
I can barely hear you, but I know that annually we donate $20,000 to them. So this is significantly more than what we donate on an annual basis. I'm gonna attend the next meeting, which is beginning of next month. I think it's end of this month, beginning of next month. I'll let them know that we're definitely interested in contributing something, and that we will let them know how much. How's that sound?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's $75,000 then, in addition, that's 50-some thousand in addition to the 20-some.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Well, we don't want to spend $8,000.
Fire department,
We don't want to spend $8,000.
park and rec. Okay, so park and rec,
Yeah, I don't have minutes yet.
okay, but we have a request list here, it looks like, we have some completed here.
Right.
Oh, we want to discuss the receipts. Are the receipts all paid? Everyone submitted their receipts?
Yes.
Okay, at the last,
They're not paid.
you didn't get reimbursed?
It's on the bill
It's in the bill list,
Yeah.
the check's there.
Check's here.
So, for future, what we wanna do is, we usually approve an amount for you. So then Joan's gonna get that amount out. What we want is Park and Rec to approve who's handing in the receipts, so they can just hand the receipts in. So whether everyone on Park and Rec, say there's 5 people, they go out and they buy stuff. I don't want them coming to the office, just handing in receipts, Joan not knowing if these people were approved to do this for Park and Rec, that it goes through one person that says, hey, Andrew's coming in, Julie's coming in, I got these receipts, can you please reimburse them? And then she'll just cash it out for them right away, so you don't have to wait.
Okay.
But do you understand why I don't want people just walking in and not knowing that we know that they're with?
Yeah, I don't know that we did that.
No, that's what,
Send it through
we wanna move
email.
forward with this new
Yeah.
procedure, but to do that, we don't wanna be paying cash out for receipts when people just walk in and say, hey, I bought this for Park and Rec. We'd like someone, a liaison or someone to be in charge of it, saying, yes, these people did this, they're bringing the receipts in, please pay them.
One of us on the board, one of us.
I would think
on the
that'd
Park
probably be
and
best,
Rec.
cause you know who's involved
Okay.
and who you gave permission to go buy
Okay.
stuff,
Yep,
right?
Yep, that's fine.
And then just make sure Joan gets that, and as they bring it in the next day, within an hour, she'll know that's on the list and she can go ahead and cash it out and spend it.
Understood.
And that way you don't have to wait for us to sign checks approved.
And you guys sent over a form, and I thought I sent the minutes,
Now, Sandy, why can't we do something like we do with the carnival, where say, for instance, they have their Halloween event, and they say they want $500 for their event. Why can't we give them $500 and make them keep receipts and then hand it back in?
Because it's about us making sure we have the receipts. So if they turn the receipt in, we have the receipts and we're not following up on it. It's not on this here saying like, we need the carnival, contract, we need the receipt for this, we need this receipt. You want the cash, you turn the receipt in and we're fine. We have that all for our receipts, our audits and stuff. So she'll cash it out, the cash will be sitting there with Joan. And all they have to do is just come to the office and turn in the receipt.
that's fine. So you sent that form over,
As a sample.
in the meeting, that wasn't necessarily self-explanatory, so I'm not even sure how we were to fill that out, but, so what is the difference in just handing in the receipts and that form?
So on the agenda, Sandy, I put on their last meeting agenda to discuss the process for it, and so, you know, I don't know, you said you emailed the minutes, usually that's my guide for, you know, developing what's on here, but, it was just, I mean, that's what we use in the office for petty cash.
Oh, you gave her the receipt, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's got codes.
It's
and
probably
what-
easier just for them just to
Yeah,
have someone say, email you saying, here's a list of the people who bought stuff that are gonna be turning in receipts. You pay out up to the 500, and anything over that, then we'll bring to the board and pay out any extra after it's
So we don't have to fill it out?
No, just
Okay.
email the names of who's
Okay.
coming over. That'll be easiest,
All right.
instead of having them fill that out.
I know that on part of, one of the things that, like I said, I thought I had emailed them, asked me Frank if he got it in his email, but the, like the request list, we're asking if, the committee was asking if we could get the responses back to that in writing, so that everybody on the committee here has the same response. I know that sometimes I'm here at this meeting, a lot of times I am, but there's been times I've missed as well. So we were asking if we could get the responses in writing.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, we can reply to that.
Thank you.
Yes. Was there anything
so
else on that?
basically, yeah, whatever is marked completed, they're technically open items.
Correct.
So I don't know if the board wants to address any of them now. I don't know how urgent some of these things are.
All right,
But-
so,
You just answered, see? Cause you get it right.
right, so C's done. B, there doesn't appear to be any expenses paid for the requested upkeep to the parks. There was no, that'll show on a report for the, if we put a report out for that. I just didn't have any at the time.
Yeah, I think that the conversation that happened at the meeting was that we did in the summer, or in September, I forget what month it was, we did that list of things that we had identified that might be shortcomings in the park. And there were questions as to, it doesn't appear that there's any money spent to correct those issues that were brought to the table.
Okay, so basically you don't know if they were done.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And there may be some of them that couldn't have been done, we don't know, that's what the conversation was.
Okay, so we have copies of current rental agreements.
So if any of them come in, like if a rental agreement comes in, if we could see a copy of it, so, I mean,
Do
obviously.
you have someone that's gonna be in charge of that? I mean, you want the agreements, why? I mean, do we post the name on the calendar now and the date on the event calendar?
Maybe I'll put like the last name
And the
or say
date?
baby shower or.
What else are you looking for off that? Cause I
So what are
personally
they
wouldn't want the
using?
rental agreements leaving the office. I mean, it's one thing if you just wanna come in and look at them.
What exactly did they, so I know, I'm trying to think of what questions people had asked, for what, so if they were using over here, they're using the carnival grounds, what were they using? Did they rent the buildings? Did they just rent the pavilion? What else did they rent? I think that was the question that someone had asked. And only would know that by looking at it, and what,
Right.
did they pay? Did they pay the amount that was on the?
And that's always marked on those applications. Yeah, so I mean, if someone wants to come in, you have the file up front, and you guys.
So we would have to
Yeah, you
look
can
at
go
it.
through those.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd want them leaving the office with people's information.
I was just gonna say, it has people's information on it, that's.
Right.
And then
names, address,
redact
name.
it. I don't understand, you can't redact the stuff, at least have the basic stuff on it. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is.
There is no
Yeah, so
problem.
Yeah.
you
Come
can
in and-
understand the scope of the rental.
Yeah. that's
Yeah, we
fine.
need to understand what's going on, like, maybe there may be more opportunities for us to rent stuff. I mean, we don't even know, like,
And what I'm saying is, the file's there, you can come in and look at it.
well, I mean, we're a volunteer thing, that's not our job to come in to pull the file that I'm not on the board anymore, but for us to just be part of what comes in versus be responsible for
I
it.
think what the difficulty with that is most of us work during the day, and it's hard to get in. It's
If it
hard to
could
get
just be
in.
emailed, it'd be so much easier.
Well,
So what-
would it be okay if on the calendar that they get, I can, usually if it's the pavilion, I'll write pavilion.
Yeah.
But they don't rent that out to all,
information.
like the stage and pavilion, but I can put on there the
Yeah.
following received, what's due. rather
Just
than
give the stupid, just
redacting.
give the report. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. We're
Yeah,
part of
that's
you.
So, yeah, and with that, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll figure something else out,
Okay.
okay?
Alright, we'll see if that works.
All right. Update our recommendation for outside council review ordinance 210.
And I think that may or may not have been done, because this is the old one, it was at the January one. That may or may not have been done, I think that was.
That was January. Okay. What is the status of the request quote from an outside agency to develop a comprehensive 10-year plan for park and recreation?
The DCED never called me back.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe they don't do that anymore, but if you're gonna hire a private company, you know, that'll cost. So,
Any response on any of this, or if you just wanna review this before?
I did some research. There was a place, I think you can get like a $10,000 grant, and then they'll, after that, they'll do 50-50. I have to find it again.
well, and regarding grants, since we have the rescue funds, you have to be real careful, cause we need to spend that money. And Parks and Rec is eligible for sure for using that. If we get grants, we're gonna end up having to turn money back.
Right, grants come with conditions, so we definitely wanna use some
Right.
other money.
Right.
So it's just, Parks and Rec
Right.
definitely, their projects are eligible.
And we sent in a list of stuff we wanted, like for budget and stuff, there's a list of stuff we were interested in seeing done, to spend money, but we didn't get any response from that either.
Do we have that list here somewhere?
Yeah, we put it on our budget list.
I have to look at the date, it's probably in the previous meetings folder.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we're trying to do the security camera. That's a huge project right now, so.
Yeah, that was one of the ones on our list.
Yes, if we can get that done, cause that is
Okay, then we
huge.
can cross that off and
endeavor.
move on to the next.
Yes.
Okay, so then, let's look for that. Let's look for that list and print out hard copies of that for everyone.
Yeah.
It's easier when it's on a hard copy
Right.
versus when it gets lost in our laptop in the meetings, cause once we close these laptops, it's a lot of times out of sight, out of
Lost
mind,
in space.
until the next time it comes up. All right. Do we have an action plan or development from the park inspection meetings? Especially the area where the batting cage was located, as there was a deep ruts and runoff. Asking for details for expenses that show on park and recreation budget, that should be soon taken care of with the new accounting system. We'll just have to run the reports. I don't know that we had anything spent recently, but we'll run reports and see what we come up with.
Yeah, I did give them something recently, but.
Okay, then update for recommendations for the MAA agreement for next year's agreement.
We skipped G about the MMA.
Working on an MA thing, but to go back to the ball diamond and the stormwater issue there, I talked to Jay Oliver from Twin Valley Legion Ball, and they would like to do something with like some sort of batting cages, and they are aware of that problem. I told them to reach out to Keith, that maybe between the two of them, they could come up with something, even if they're willing to pay for it or whatever. But they're trying to address that issue there, that water there in the corner.
Okay, which one did I skip?
G about the signage being removed and trash cans and stuff from the exterior of the grounds.
It's almost moot point now, because the season's gonna start again, I think that was, again, one from way back.
Okay, and that should be in the agreement, right? Anyway, for MAA?
It should be.
Okay. All right, was there anything else you wanted to add? Modify section 2 concerning the bathroom. It still states we provide 2 restrooms. Okay, so that's all part of the agreement.
Yeah.
All right, so you're working on that. And then, did we approve putting a toilet in the other
I don't know if
facility.
I don't know if you
What-
approved it, but I intended to do that here
Okay.
once the season
I
started.
think we moved forward on that, right?
I intended to put one in there.
Okay, I think we mentioned that the last meeting.
So I ever recall it from the last meeting, I just don't remember if it was approved. You guys talked about it, so.
Okay, I think we moved forward to get that put in.
Yeah.
Okay, water authority. Planning commission. Engineers report.
I think we touched on a bunch of the stuff there. One update, I do have some emails from the engineer on Hillside, the building addition. They're very close, they got updates on their permitting. I think that has to be, Joan, that did not get reaffirmed recently, it has to still. So I think once we find out whether or not those changes mean there's something that the township has to or doesn't have to look at, that's gonna be back in soon. The XTL site work outside of the land development, they did reach out to Berg Construction. I reached out to Berg after they said, we talked to them. They confirmed that at the earliest, it's probably gonna be June that they get in there to do the work, but there is some, there's some issues there that the site was not necessarily surveyed correctly, so I think that's gonna be an ongoing back and forth between the owner and the contractor, but I'll keep you posted as best I can. Two Hidden Court was the pond that we had seen full of water. At the last meeting, we asked to send out a letter to them. I did send that, I mean, it was just last week that I issued that letter, so there hasn't been a 30 days to hear back from them. I think at the next meeting, we'll have to decide. That was just a letter saying, please take care of this. If they didn't, I know in 2020, we had issued a notice violation, and I think we'll have to talk about it. That's the way we're going, and what happens then, but, we issued that now, we're waiting. There was it wasn't necessarily a complaint. 160, Willow Glen has questions about the inlet, and there was other development questions about some drainage issues. I was going to look at that with Keith a little further. I don't know if that necessarily needs the authorization to do so. If it does, I think we have to go towards that, correct me if I'm wrong, amending the agenda and that approach if we did something along those lines, but.
I don't think you just need approval to go look. You just
Okay,
don't look.
then we are looking into some of those other
Okay.
issues. Unfortunately, there's other stormwater issues that keep popping up, so.
Okay.
No other comments and no need for any action.